In progress.
So everyone please kindly repeat after me. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deva Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
Jaya Jaya Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Jaya Jaya Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Gana.
Shakti Deha Kore Yena Chaitanya Varnana.
Shakti Deva Karayena Chaitanya Varnana.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Shatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna, and again warm welcome to all of you and to all the devotees who've joined online. Hare Krishna. So last time we started this amazing chapter entitled The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. So when you hear of the word confidential, what comes to your mind? Something secretive. Anything else?
Something personal to God.
Something personal to the Lord. Okay.
Something very rare.
Something very rare. What do you, when we say the word confidential, what comes to your mind?
Not revealed.
Not revealed.
Like we are not supposed to know about it.
We're not supposed to know about it. Okay.
Still, Lord is merciful.
It's revealed to very close people.
Close
Yes.
people.
Okay, it's revealed to very close people. Yes. So yes, most of you. So one of the other things is that there is something beyond the superficial. There's some inner purpose that is not known to everyone. And another thing is that it's not easy to understand. So especially when it is related to the Supreme Personality and a reason that is related to the Lord's personal desires. So as we know, it's not easy to understand the Lord. What to talk about, His inner desires, His inner feelings, His inner emotions. So the word confidential kind of gives it a nice It's a nice title to the chapter. And last time we discussed that before explaining the confidential reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is going to set the scene for us to understand the reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance, right? Confidential reasons. So what does he do? He starts with, why does Krishna appear? So he doesn't directly get into the reasons. In fact, he says that I'm going to indirectly first explain. I'm going to give you a hint to you first. In the beginning of the chapter, he says, I think it's the fifth verse. One second. Yes, it's a fourth verse. He says, Mool shlokera artha korite prakasha artha lagyete age koiye abhas. So what's he going to do? Just to explain the original verse, I shall first suggest its meaning. So he's going to give us an interesting background before he gets into and you'll see that it will be many verses before he actually starts to explain the confidential reasons of the Lord's appearance. So first he explains why Krishna comes. And last time, as we discussed, that many of you said Krishna comes to remove the burden from the earth. He says, Dharma samstapana arthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Whenever there's dharma, glanir. So yes, that's true, but that's not the real reason why Krishna comes. And who actually removes the burden of the earth?
Vishnu.
Yes. So Lord Vishnu removes the burden of the earth. And it's explained that when Krishna comes, all his incarnations come within him, right? And come with him. And Lord Vishnu is the one who he destroys the demons and he protects the devotees and he establishes Krishna actually personally protects his devotees. But killing the demons and establishing dharma, this is whose work? Lord Vishnu's work. And what does Krishna come for? What does he come for? What's the main reason that he comes? Huh? To give? Okay, to give Rag Bhakti. So this is explained beautifully in verses 15 to 16 that we covered. It's explained that Prema rasa niryasa korite asvadana Raga marga bhakti loke korite pracharan Rasika shekhara Krishna parama karuna Ei dui hetu hoite ichara udgama. So these are verses 15 through 16. So the Lord comes for two reasons. The Lord wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of the love of God. So prema rasa niryasa korite asvadan. So the rasa of prema, the mellow of prema, Krishna comes to relish. With whom? With his confidential associates. And what does he do? The second reason he comes is Raga Marga Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharam. So he comes to share this beautiful process of spontaneous devotional service. Raga Marga. Raga Bhakti. What is Raga Bhakti?
Spontaneous devotional service.
Where there is natural attraction for the Lord. No one has to tell us. Just like when we are naturally attracted. There is no effort required. Just like when we breathe. Right? It's happening effortlessly. So similarly, attraction for Krishna, it becomes completely spontaneous. And there is deep attachment to the Lord. Deep attachment. When we love someone unconditionally, you can imagine what the level of attachment is. So this is why Krishna comes. He comes to taste this rasa himself, and he comes to share this with everyone, for all of us. And why does he do that? Why does he want to share it with us?
So that we understand the God better and we see his leelas, and then we get attracted towards him, then get engaged in the service of God.
And he wants to tell that he wants raga bhakti rather than the rules and regulations.
Yes. Because Krishna ultimately is not so much attracted by Aishwarya worship. Worship in awe and veneration. So Krishna personally is revealing that yes, okay, it's nice, it's a good activity, but ultimately we can't attract Krishna by that worship. Krishna says in verse 17, he says, Aishwarya Jnani Te Shobha Jagata Mishrita Aishwarya Stila Preme Nahi Mora Prita. All the universe is filled with the conception of my majesty, but love weakened by that sense of majesty does not attract me. And then he says these wonderful verses. He says that when my friends, they consider themselves the same as me or superior, he said, I'm very happy. And they question me, what, you think you're some big shot? So this makes Krishna very happy. When his parents tie him up, when his mother binds it, and she thinks she's protecting him and nurturing him. So Krishna becomes very joyful. And then he says when, verse number 26, Priya jodi mana kori kore bhartsana Vedastuti hoite hore ei mora mana. So when Srimati Radharani reproaches him, she chastises him, she criticizes him in this sulky mood. So Krishna, he prefers that to the reverent hymns of the Vedas. Now this is all Krishna revealing. This is all in quotes. So Kaviraj Goswami is revealing the mind and the heart of Krishna. That this is what Krishna wants us to be engaged in. He wants us to be engaged in this spontaneous devotional service. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will explain later on in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. He says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. So we may think this is, what is it? Is it artificial? Where are we supposed to get this? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabunai. He says, this Nitya, eternal, pure, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kabunai. It hasn't got to be acquired from an external source. So where will it be? Where will it come? Where will it arise from?
It is within us.
Yes. And how will it be awakened?
By devotion. Sadhana.
Yes, by Shravan Adi. So by the 9 processes of devotional service, this eternal love for God will be awakened in our hearts. Shravan Adi Shuddha Chitte Koroe Uddoy. It will arise, it will awaken. And as our heart becomes purified, as our consciousness becomes purified by Shravan Adi, by watering the seed with the water of Shravan, Kirtanam, Sangha. So then what will happen? Then this dormant love will awaken within us.
Because dormant love means that raga.
Yes, all the way to Raga Bhakti.
So these 9 processes, this is also part of the Vedic Bhakti only, or
Yes,
is it also part of the
but see, you can chant in under rules and regulations, and you can also chant in ecstasy, depending on your consciousness. So that process itself, you can't say that is part of Vedic Bhakti. That process is an eternal process. But when we do it in Vedic Bhakti, it is like medicine. And when we are completely purified, it's like nectar. So the same hearing, what we are doing now it will remain, appear a little dry, will be a little like you have to put effort to understand. But when we are in a pure state of heart, then there will be emotions there will be ecstatic symptoms when we hear this, when we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
So the process remains the same.
Yes.
But just the consciousness changes.
Yeah, like, will the Bhagavatam change? Huh? Will the Hare Krishna Mahamantra change? No, it won't change. It will remain the same. But the way we perceive it, the way we realize it, it will be completely different. And it happens throughout our devotional journey. As we progress, then we start to relish more this process. And we ended with verse number 29, where again Krishna says the influence of Yoga Maya will inspire the gopis with the sentiment that I am their paramour. Paramour means what? Huh? A lover, but a secret lover. Just look up the dictionary meaning. Because can the gopis openly love Krishna? From a social point of view, can they openly love Krishna? Huh? Why? Huh? Who are they married to? Trick question, no?
Externally with someone else.
Yeah, externally they're married to somebody else.
Internally with Krishna.
So this is very bewildering. Like what kind of a God is God? Where he is externally appearing to be engaged in immoral acts. Isn't it? That's why Prabhupada writes, he says, Radha Krishna are a puzzle to the materialists. And yes, they are. Even to us, even though we may be engaged in bhakti, but because we also materially conditioned, we're not fully clear on, we can't fully appreciate the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So to the extent that we are materially conditioned, Radha Krishna pastimes will also bewilder us and puzzle us. But the more we get purified, the more we'll be able to understand. So, I think everyone will be blocked. So today I will attempt, based on Srila Prabhupada's amazing, insightful purports, I'll attempt to explain to you what is this ras between the gopis and the Lord. It's called Parakya ras, and interestingly, Prabhupada, he right from text number 30, he starts to explain that in the purport. And what I'm going to do today is that there are 6 or 7 long purports. Okay. And what I have done is I have organized them under different headings, all the main points in these purports, and I will discuss them with you. Once we discuss the first 6-7 verses we'll discuss, and then I will explain to you what Prabhupada, the amazing insight he has given us in the purports to explain these very, very deep, confidential topics in the Shastra. So you'll have to be a little alert, because it's a little philosophical, but I'll try to make it as light as possible, but I need your help. Okay. So we're going to start with text number 30. So here Krishna says that neither the gopis nor I shall notice this, for our minds will always be entranced by one another's beauty and qualities. So under the influence of Yoga Maya, Krishna is going to engage in this amazing, beautiful, loving exchanges with the gopis. And they're going to forget, as Krishna says, he says in verse number 31, okay, we're going to recite this verse, you'll repeat this after me. Dharma chhadi rage dunhe kore milana, कभु मिले कभु न मिले दैवेरा घटाना. So this is so beautiful. He's saying pure attachment will unite us at the expense of moral and religious duties. So what are they going to do? They're going to forget about all these moral and religious obligations and enforcements and duties. So Yogamaya is going to make them forget all this. And he says, kabhu mile, kabhu na mile. So destiny will sometimes bring us together, and then destiny will sometimes separate us. So this is the nature of this love. Sometimes they'll bring them together, and sometimes they'll keep them apart. And so let's recite verse number 32. Ehi sab ras niryasa koribe asvada. Ehi dwara koribo shaba bhaktera prasada. So this is how Krishna will favor all the devotees. How will he favor? So he's going to bestow his mercy. He's saying, Shraddha Bhaktira Prasad. He's going to bestow his favor by engaging in these beautiful rasa. And he's saying, then by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Vraj, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all religious rituals and fruitive activity. And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he quotes, as he always does, he quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam, and he says that, verse number 34, that Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. So why is Krishna coming to perform these pastimes? Huh? Say, yes, to show mercy and what? Yes, to attract us towards, loving him in a spontaneous way and making that the purpose of our lives. Because otherwise, what will happen?
We'll be getting into material.
If you don't develop this love for Krishna, then, as Prabhupada says, if you don't love God, you love dog. We can see that, especially in Nirvana country. My God. Huge dogs, not just one. People are keeping a couple of dogs, big dogs. So, externally it may seem, what are they doing? But actually we see that this is a perverted reflection of the pure love of God. So, that the desire to love and serve is there, but it's being misplaced. You take the richest of the richest people, most famous, sometimes, they're so alone that they bestow so much affection, on a cat or a dog. They have a butler for their cat. They have, some of them, they even have private, someone I heard had a private jet for their. They have so much money, but they're lonely. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, he says that when he met Mother Teresa, right? So one of the things that he learned from her, she said, the real hunger is not hunger of the stomach. It's the hunger of the heart. And unfortunately, we're trying to, in this world that we see in the modern world, we're trying to fill that hunger with things that ultimately, what do? They frustrate that hunger. They don't satisfy the hunger. They completely frustrate us. So this is the mercy that Krishna has come to bestow. That look, don't look here and there. It's there within our heart. It's not going to cost any money. You don't have to wear branded clothes to attract anyone. Krishna, what's he happy by? What's he conquered by? We heard in chapter 3. What is he conquered by? What's he conquered by? What did Advaita Acharya do to call the Lord? No, not even Shaligram Shila. What did he do?
Conquered by love.
He offered tulsi and he offered water. Right? So, tulsi and water, what does it cost us? That's also given by the Lord. Supplied for free. Shaligram Shila also supplied for free. So just imagine the mercy of the Lord. If you have to attract people in this world, do you need to be a little loaded or not? But Krishna doesn't need anything. His thing he's giving you, he says, okay, just offer it back to me. for free. What a deal. But it's confidential. It's tough to realize. It's tough to value. When we have it for free, we think, okay, what's the big deal? It's my right. So now we'll try to understand that what is behind this parikya ras. So Prabhupada explains that now this is from 6-7 purports. I have taken different statements from the purports and we'll discuss them. Okay. So first of all, Prabhupada says that this sort of love is not existent anywhere, even in the Vaikuntha planets. So where is this love where is this love available, or where Krishna manifests his full pleasure potency? This is in Goloka. And there's a special place called Vraj. Vraj is where Krishna performs his childhood pastimes. And so the 12 forests of Vraj, where Krishna performs his, the 7 on the eastern side and 5 on the western side of the Yamuna. And this is where Krishna performs his childhood leelas, including his rasa dance. And Prabhupada says that, and we will hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita later on, that there are 4 primary rasas. What are the 4 primary rasas? Yes, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. And Madhurya ras is broken into 2 types of rasas. So what is that? Swakya. What is Swakya ras? That means love within marriage. Between the 2 partners, they are married. And Parakya ras is between, Prabhupada explains, it is a relationship with Krishna as a secret lover, paramour. Expert analysts have decided, before he says that, one second. He says that this Parakya ras, it is something like the attraction of a married woman for a man other than a husband. So what is this ras? It is like a woman harboring affection for a man other than a husband. Extramarital, yes. Extramarital affair. So, thank you. So, on the outset, this sounds completely immoral, illogical, distasteful, abominable, whatever words you want to call it. That we don't consider this a decent behavior. Now, why does Krishna engage in this ras? So then Prabhupada explains. Okay, just take it off. No problem. So Prabhupada writes, expert analysts have decided that the transcendental ecstasy of the Parakya mellow is better because it is more enthusiastic. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Okay. Prabhupada writes, he said, the risks involved in such love of Godhead make this emotion superior to the relationship in which such risk is not involved. So even in this world, we see that suppose a man or a woman loves another partner who's not married to, it could be, a man may also love a woman, right? Or the woman may love a man secretly. So there are many risks involved. Yes or no? Suppose if the wife gets caught or the husband gets caught, what will happen? Will they be, put in a pedestal and given a medal? Will there be an amazing article in the newspaper? Look how, what a great achiever this person is. No? What will happen? Huh? No.
World War.
Acha. There'll be attempted murder. Huh? By the wife or by the husband. Itne sare ho gaye, yes.
Prabhuji, but then we are not calling that thing love in material world also. We don't call it love, right?
Yes, so we'll get to that. But the question is, are there risks involved in such a relationship or not? Because if the person is caught, what will happen? They'll be put to shame. Right? Relatives of, whoever, if it's the woman who's, having an extramarital affair, all the relatives of the, man will come and, they'll get on her case, and even maybe the girls, some of their relatives, her relatives will come and say, what, kya, hi, क्या कर दिया हमारा नाक कटवा दिया चेहरा काला कर दिया है ना so now Prabhupada says, in the material world this sort of relationship is most abominable because it is a perverted reflection of the Parikya Ras in the spiritual world, where it is the highest kind of loving affair. Okay. Now why is it the highest kind of loving affair? Why is it?
Because of the risk involved.
Yes, because of the risks involved. What else?
You said
No
enthusiasm.
limits.
Only,
Achha, okay, what creates that enthusiasm?
so normally what happens is if you are aspiring for something, the attraction towards that is very high.
Yes.
So once you get it, then it's like you have it. Then it comes down slightly and things are taken for granted also at times, right? So that is the reason, as long as the longing is there, so it is constant, always. And it doesn't diminish once you attain it.
Did you all get that?
Yes.
You all agree with it? Say Hari Bol 3 times for him. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So what he just said is that there is separation in this relationship. Are the gopis with Krishna? They're not. So what happens to the intensity of their love? The separation does what to their love? Diminish it or increase it? It increases to a point of what?
Madness.
Yes.
Dying.
Now, in the material world, whatever affection will cause a person to die. But in spiritual reality, this separation gives the highest level of ecstasy. So the highest level of happiness is experienced by whom? By the queens or by the gopis? So this is the Vipralamba Bhav. This is love and separation. And it is so intense that its intensity just makes a person so ecstatic. They become so mad in that love.
Does it Parakya Bhav and Vipralamba Bhav mean the same thing?
Yeah, yes. It is experienced in the Parakya Ras.
So that's
It's
the
part.
bhav and that's the ras.
So it's part of that. It's part of that ras, the devotional mellow, right? This emotion is part of that. Yes. So the different stages, and there's Mahabhav, which is the highest level of ecstasy that only the Srimati Radharani is she's the embodiment of this Mahabhav. We'll discuss this later in the chapter. Okay. And now Prabhupada says something really amazing. He says this conjugal relationship of amorous love called Parakya Ras is the unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Lord Krishna and his devotees. What a beautiful statement. It is this relationship of amorous love is the unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Krishna and his devotees. And Prabhupada explains that the period of separation evaluated transcendentally is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feeling of increasing anticipation because the lover and beloved are both present. Okay. Just one more and then we are. Now I just want to explain one thing before I open it up for questions. So what is it that enables this ras or makes this kind of relationship possible? We have already give you a hint. Look at verse number 29. Yogamaya koribeka apana prabhave. So what is it that is making this possible? This relationship possible? Yogamaya. And what is Yogamaya? Yes, it is Krishna's own internal energy, Shakti, which creates such an atmosphere that what happens? That the devotee forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how can you have a relationship in Parakya Bhav with Krishna, or even in any ras as a friend? How can you have how can you think Krishna is equal to you? There is an energy that creates that situation where the devotee forgets that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Because as long as we think that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, can we have an intimate exchange like that with the Lord? No. So this, Krishna's own internal potency makes Krishna forget he's God, And the devotee also forget that Krishna is God. And it makes these relationships, especially these three rasas, possible.
Three rasas, you mean Vatsalya and Vatsalya?
Sakya and, because in dāsā ras anyway there is.
How can Krishna?
Why Krishna needs Yog Maya to forget? Krishna
Yeah, this was my question.
Krishna ko Yog Maya ki why we are saying ki Krishna is under the influence of Yog Maya?
No, he's not under the influence. He creates a situation through his energy that both the devotee and he, they forget that that Krishna is the Lord, and the devotee also forget. Just think, if you think, just suppose you're the head of Gurgaon and everyone is under you, under your shelter. So how will you engage in this kind of, you'll have to forget that you're the head of. Yes, Mataji, you are.
My question is, you said that love and separation brings the highest ecstasy to the devotees, and that's the paramount definition of truth. So, but when Krishna leaves Vrindavan,
Yes.
so then that separation only increases. So then, but whatever I've read, then they are not in any ecstasy. They are like almost miserable. So how do we understand that?
Yes, so externally they're crying, but they're also experiencing the highest level of happiness. Acharyas explain. So happiness not in the sense that, externally we gauge that, they're dancing and we are so happy Krishna is away. No? It's not like externally that kind of happiness. That they're singing, but because their desire for Krishna is so strong. So are they actually separated from Krishna? What do you think? Are they actually separated from Krishna? How can they be? So they're united in separation. They're physically separated. But they're together. By their intense desire, by their intense affection, they can't be separated in one sense. But they're physically separated.
Like Uddhavji comes to, Krishna sends Uddhavji ki you should go and tell the Devi. So that caused this great confusion in my mind then, because they are not happy to, my view.
Yes, so naturally this is also an exchange of ras. Right? Relationship. They can't say, okay, Krishna is already here. Why have you come here? We don't care for you.
Thank you.
So something is externally and something is internal. So both have to be understood. So both are relishable.
Thank you.
Yes.
If we are not having that kind of a spontaneous love
Yes.
with the Lord, that kind of a separation, does that mean that we are not under the influence of Yog Maya and we are under the influence of Mahamaya?
Yes, partially we are. To the extent that we surrender, either we are under the influence of Mahamaya or Yoga Maya. Right? So if we are very sincere, we have really matured in our devotion, then we more and more we come under the shelter of Yoga Maya. And then when we're completely purified, then we're completely under Mahatmas Tumam Partha Devin Prakriti Ashrita. So those who are great souls, what are they? They're completely under the divine shelter, Krishna says. Devin Prakriti Ashrita. They have taken complete shelter. So we are also trying. We are trying to take shelter. We are praying to Mahamaya to release us. Or we should be praying.
And if that's the only thing is our desires are actually binding us to be
Yes, our desires, our conditioning.
conditioned.
Prabhuji, that means we are either under the influence of Mahamaya or Yogamaya.
Yes.
So this process will help us take away from the Mahamaya and Yogamaya.
Yes. So we want to take more and more shelter of Krishna's internal energy. So bhakti is actually under Krishna's internal energy, pure devotional service. When it is done properly, it is completely, it's when we say it's transcendental, it's beyond these three modes. So Krishna's service, His holy name, they're transcendental. When they're chanted with attention and they're completely, we're actually having a transcendental experience.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes,
The soul is on the journey, right?
Yes.
And, sooner or later, if we are constantly engaged in devotional service, then we'll reach that stage also. That same dāsā, that gopis experience, right?
could be, you could be experience another rasa, depending on your swabhav, which will be revealed later. You could be attracted to any of those rasas.
Sure.
Yes.
So my question is, like, then the soul at that level, will the soul expect to be in Golok, Dham, Vrindavan? Because if that happens, then isn't that against this rasa? Because तब तो वो भगवान के पास ही वहाँ सर्विस में चले जाएंगे,
वहाँ पे भी तो लीला हो रही है.
वहाँ पर भी लीला.
Yes.
But Prabhuji,
Yes.
another thing which you have been proper chat, all the gopis were nothing but they were sages from Treta Yuga who used to serve Ram, and they asked for a boon to be born as gopis during the Krishna thing. So they actually are the souls who were given that boon that they will service the Lord when they take birth as well. They will, in the form of women, and they will get the birth and serve the Lord.
Yeah, so we'll get to I'll explain that later on. Okay, because we'll get to that point that what is the position of the gopis, what is the position of Radharani is explained in this chapter later on. So we'll get to that. Otherwise we'll be going too much into the chapter. So any other, yes?
Tumulka Acharya said that Krishna never left Vrindavan. So when love came and he went Yashoda Maya, the way the book was done, all of them were like really distributed. How does that?
Yeah, so actually that's one answer I want to give you next time when, because Prabhuji asked, Vishnucharan Prabhu, he asked a similar question. So Acharyas explain this in a few ways, right? But I'll just explain one way that which I will share with you on the group. There's one purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Acharya has given different explanations. What does it really mean that Krishna doesn't leave Vrindavan? Right? How does that? What's the real meaning of that? So one meaning is that Krishna remains in Vrindavan in his bhav expansion. Okay. In his bhav, that means in his heart, or say emotion expansion. He's there. And physically he goes, but he's there in his bhav. So, so in one sense he doesn't really leave Vrindavan. So there are 3 or 4 other reasons which I'll explain next time, because Vishnu Charan Prabhu also, I kept that answer for him. So I'll explain that to you next time. But basically one of the reasons is that Krishna is always there in Vrindavan in his bhav expansion. So he's always there.
So the separation that Yashoda Maya felt in the books is genuinely for the physical presence and not essentially emotions and sentiments.
Yeah, and what truly, how do we explain this? Is that, see, when you're completely absorbed in love for someone, especially when we are absorbed in the love for God, right? Does Krishna reciprocate? So does it matter if he is here physically or not? Does he reciprocate or not?
Yes.
We are all practicing bhakti. Even at our level, Krishna is reciprocating. There's one beautiful verse. Ye yatha mam prapattante tam stateva bhajami aham. And in this chapter itself, this has been explained that this is explained a beautifully Bengali verse. This same thing in text number 19. Amaketa je je bhakta bhaje jai bhave tara sheshe bhave bhaji ei mora swabhave. So he's saying, Amake ta je je bhakta bhaje jai bhave. So whatever bhav the devotee worships the Lord, what does Krishna do? Tare sheshe bhave bhaji ei mora swabhave. So my nature is that I reciprocate with them in the same way. So if we are intensely attracted, absorbed in the love of Krishna, is Krishna going to reciprocate with us or not?
Yes.
So is Krishna personally present or not? Yes, in his bhav expansion he is present. He is reciprocating with us. That means that we will feel Krishna's love. Yes or no?
Yes.
Definitely we will feel. We feel it even now. That's why we are in bhakti. Year after year, what are we doing? If you're not feeling anything, would we stay and chant?
But this feeling is because of Krishna's reciprocation.
Yes. So Krishna, does he have to be physically present to reciprocate?
Then why the gopis are feeling so true?
That is Leela. So they are separated physically, but they are also the most united with Krishna.
Intensity.
Yeah, because of the intensity of love, they are most united with Krishna. Yes, ma'am.
What have I noted?
Just give her the mic. Yeah. It's Mother Yamuna.
When Uddhavaji is experiencing separation from Krishna after the martial Leela, he's feeling devastated, miserable. And then, cutting the story short, then he meditates on Krishna's pastimes, his instructions, and Bhagavatam says that all that pain that he was feeling because of separation, just by remembering Krishna, he felt happy, ecstatic. Similarly, in Canto 1, Arjuna is also feeling separation from Krishna, and same thing is there, that the moment he meditates on Krishna's instructions, he feels pacified and the union. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada, when he left, in fact, before he was still there on the planet, so there was some kind of criticism, for the lack of a better word, criticism that, Yamuna Mataji was very close to Prabhupada, and then some devotees commented that, Mataji should not be so close to Prabhupada. So she took it seriously, and then she did her worship and everything by herself, and she was not going very close to Prabhupada. And as things went by and Prabhupada left his body, the devotees who were very, very close to Prabhupada physically, many of them, for some reason they left. But Yamuna Mataji said that this test will anyways come by Krishna. So I experienced the separation from my spiritual master while he was there. But she was one of the topmost devotees. that kind of explains that, how separation is a union itself, just by remembrance of Krishna.
So don't worry if in the first instance it's not all clear. Okay, we can further discuss. Let's not get hung up on. But basically, physical separation from the Lord, right, doesn't mean that we don't feel the Lord's reciprocation and presence. In fact, sometimes, as we see in the case of the gopis, they are most united with Krishna because of their intensity of love for God. Okay? So there is union in separation, and it's the most intense union because there is so much greed for Krishna's association. They're so attached.
This is the same thing we experience when our Guru Maharaj is not there, either in the physical body or he is away from us.
Depends on your purity. Sometimes it may be just emotional. Depends on the purity of the devotee.
When Krishna comes, he comes to share his experience of love. And when he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes to experience the share of love of Radharani.
We'll get to that. So basically, Krishna comes to attract us. That he's come in this amazing form to tell us that, look, I am so accessible. I want you just not to, worship me with awe and reverence and, ask for material things. Go beyond this and experience the real thing.
In previous verses, in previous chapter and verses, we read that we need to follow the Vedic principle, we need to follow the rules and regulations and everything. And then this chapter in verse number 18, it is being very clearly mentioned that if you will consider me as Lord and if you will if you will consider me as Lord and if you will think that you are under me, then you will never be able to taste the pure love, and neither you will able to control me with love. So isn't it very contradicting, the previous chapter verses and this verse?
So Krishna wants us to get to this level, but how is he going? How does he want us to get there?
So that's the
how
step.
Does he want through the process that he is giving of sadhana bhakti?
So sadhana bhakti then elevates to
to raga bhakti. Yes.
Okay.
And we'll discuss that also. That see, ultimately, what is sadhana bhakti for?
To reach to the raga.
Yeah. So this is Krishna inspiring us that don't just remain on the sadhak platform. That do your sadhana sincerely, so that by the blessings of our Guru and Krishna and the devotees, we will graduate to the next level. Just like when you go to school, right? Does the school want you to remain in school forever? If it's a genuine school, you have genuine teachers. What do they want you to do? Yeah, they want you to go to the next class, next class, and go to college, and they want us to mature as a student. So similarly, Krishna wants us to become a top class devotee, which is our actual potential. This is our real potential.
Prabhuji, does Brajvasis there on the platform of this?
Yeah, definitely. You have any doubt?
They're not practicing Veda.
Yeah, why should they? Why should they?
So they can feel that ecstasy.
Yes, they're completely happy.
They already have spontaneous love.
Yes, Vrajvasis are Krishna's eternal associates. They are.
Doesn't true materialist and non-devotee, doesn't Krishna come across as a rogue? Because he is kind of condoning, in particular, Ras is kind of condoning what is by material standards incorrect.
Okay, now this is the last point we'll discuss today, okay? So if God is God, right, and He's the Supreme Personality, He's beyond the material modes. He's beyond the material modes. He's not conditioned like us. We can all accept that. Even a materialist person, the definition of God who's beyond material conditioning. Okay. So these moral codes that we have, who are those for?
For the conditioned souls. For the conditioned souls.
Why?
We need to purify.
We need to elevate us to that level of pure.
Yeah, so if we didn't have moral codes in a conditioned state, then what will happen?
Sin will
Huh?
Apradh, sin will happen.
We will go down.
We will go down. We will fall
What
down.
will happen?
We will digress.
Will there be more extramarital affairs or not?
More.
Definitely. You lower the bar and you see what will happen.
Yeah.
Huh?
Anarchy will fall down.
Yeah, we'll become total animalistic. So we have to understand that here I want to read some amazing I wish I can find that. So Prabhupada writes that he says, one second. Just 1 minute, I'm just going to find this beautiful quote by Srila Prabhupada. He explains this, that okay, so what the point that Prabhupada makes is that because we all are conditioned, and what are we conditioned by? We're conditioned by greed, we're conditioned by envy, by pride, by lust, by hatred, and especially because we're conditioned by lust. He says these desires, they necessitate the need for moral codes. So if these moral codes are not there, then we'll not be able to, live decently. So these moral codes are to uplift us. But God, is He beyond the moral codes or not? Should He, is it fair to hold God to these moral codes? If God is really God, if we accept by definition the Supreme Personality beyond the three modes, completely transcendental, so then why should we apply this logic to the Lord, or these rules and regulations to the Lord? So this is the point that Prabhupada makes, that when one is totally free, beyond the three modes, there is no need for regulation. What are you going to regulate? Because they don't have any material desires. They're completely pure. The soul is in its purest form. So these codes are there for people who have material tendencies, to control it, to purify it, to elevate our consciousness. But someone who's already, completely beyond the three modes, completely transcendental, no material desires. So why would we have codes for them? And this is another thing that Krishna demonstrates, that if he is truly God, he has to act beyond the three modes. Although most of the things he does conform, but he also has to demonstrate pastimes that show that ultimately he's transcendental. Now whether we with our material mentality, consider him as a rogue, that's our misfortune.
Materialists won't understand that.
And this is another way, Prabhupada writes, another point in the purport, this is how Krishna maintains his confidential position. By not making it so easy for people to understand, especially materialists. So we have to get past our material conditioning to be able to understand the supreme transcendence. So ultimately we also have to go beyond worldly morality.
Yeah, but
Right.
looking at it is, we are unsure. So if we are parts of him, we accept what he does because that's his part of his leela also.
Yes, but how will we understand that? So we hear from all these, from these beautiful realizations from Shastra. So Prabhupada writes, he says, the reason the Lord displays the Rasa Leela is essentially to induce all the fallen souls to give up their diseased morality and religiosity and to attract them to the kingdom of God to enjoy that reality. So to give up our diseased morality and religiosity. Why do we have it? Because we are diseased. We need it. But ultimately, should we just stay within that? No, Krishna wants us to go beyond. Then he says, a person who actually understands what the Rasa Leela is will certainly hate to indulge in mundane sex life. Okay. Because we are beyond the needs of this body. When we are transcendental, why would we want to, we'd be totally repulsed by mundane lust. So for the realized soul, hearing the Lord's Rasa Leela through the proper channel will result in complete abstinence from material sexual pleasure. So anyone who claims to understand the Rasa Leela, if they have any material desires, they're just being foolish. Unless one is in a transcendental level beyond all this mundane sexual desires, they can't understand. We can't understand. We have to go beyond. We have to be in a totally purified state. Tat paratena nirmala. Pure existence, pure spiritual existence. And that's why Prabhupada, he discouraged us. What will we understand in an immature, in our conditioned level? How will we understand, all these pastimes, intimate pastimes between the gopis and Krishna? We don't have the adhikar to understand. But Prabhupada and the acharyas and these beautiful scriptures they are giving us the process how we can go step by step. Right? Yes, the ultimate destination is that, but they're taking us very carefully step by step. And Prabhupada says, those who take this process easily, they're called sahajyas. They want to, engage in, the Lord's Rasa Leela. They say, Gita is for, not important. But Prabhupada says, he writes a strong purport in this, that this is totally immature. This is completely immature and we should not take this cheaply. And this I feel, to tell you honestly as a practitioner, I feel this is Prabhupada's one of his greatest contributions. That he did not make this process cheap. This is what makes him unique as an acharya. People say, Prabhupada didn't give anything. I can show you that there is everything in Prabhupada's books. What we will discuss in this chapter, there are many other chapters. I mean, this is like the highest of the highest you can get. But people don't read. Prabhupada gave us, in the morning program, when we do Tulsi Puja, do you know what we are praying for? Yeah, what are we praying for? But we are going step by step. We are first worshipping the Guru. We are worshipping, Lord Nrsingadev to protect us from anarthas, and then we are worshipping Tulsi Mala. There is a science, and this is Prabhupada's, just supreme compassion, supreme greatness. That he did not make this process cheap, like many other spiritual leaders do. And I really I just, for me, I just love Prabhupada for this. That he didn't, because it's so difficult to understand this subject matter. How can he, and this is the Lord's divine Leela. I mean, these are liberated souls who are engaging in these pastimes. It's not an ordinary dance. So we shouldn't be, so foolish to think that we can access this so easily. This is sahajya. This is the meaning. Sahajya means take it something very easily, cheaply. Sahaj. And Prabhupada's purports, he speaks so strongly against sahajyas. Okay, so I will stop here today. So I've covered most of the things. I think the few things which we will cover next time. Most of the other verses don't have any purport, so we will quickly go through them next time. So any devotees online, sorry, it's been a long session. If you have any things you'd like to share or any questions you have.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Dandavat
Sorry, I
Mataji.
could not be able to switch on my video. I'm actually driving right now. I can just show you. So it would be difficult to me. But I have a question. May I please ask?
Yes.
Are you allowed? Okay. Just a moment, Prabhuji. मैं video बंद कर रही हूँ.
Yes.
And I have to put it down. Yeah.
Yes.
Driving. Okay. So Prabhuji, as you said, that it's not necessary for us to understand. I mean, it's generally most of the people, they jump onto this, that they wanted to understand the 10th canto, basically the rasa bhava of between the gopis and Krishna. My question is, Prabhuji, what do we really learn out of reading this 10th canto and about the conjugal love between Krishna and the gopis? And because I feel that if somebody would say that it's because we will be able to love Krishna more, that would really help us to take us on to the next level, wherein we could be able to, get that prema bhakti for Krishna. I wanted to understand, Prabhuji, there are so many other chapters, there are so many other, I could say, anecdotes, stories, through which it's very easy for us to, ignite that prema bhakti in us for Krishna. Then what does this 10th canto, to read about this conjugal love between them, really help us in our own spiritual journey? What is the actual contribution in that?
So, the 10th canto is absolutely essential because it's about Krishna's pastimes, and the whole, you could say, the Bhagavatam has been arranged in such a way, so by the time we reach the 10th canto, we are aware of Krishna's greatness and we don't mistake his sweet pastimes and take them cheaply. So the Bhagavatam has to give both, right? The Bhagavatam has to give us Krishna's greatness and Krishna's sweetness, which it does. But it is essential to also understand, at least theoretically, Krishna's sweetness and what is the ultimate goal of bhakti. So unless we hear about Krishna's pastimes, we hear of Krishna as a person, then how will we relate to this whole philosophy in a holistic way? So both are required, but we spend more time in understanding Krishna's greatness, but that doesn't mean that we leave out Krishna's sweetness. And when we are doing it under the proper guidance, then we will gradually mature to appreciate Krishna's sweetness. So those pastimes are also essential, but depending on the devotee's maturity, you can focus on whichever pastime you want, whichever, I'll tell you my own personal, for many, many years of my devotional life, I never heard Krishna's pastimes. Because I felt I was happy in hearing Lord Caitanya's pastimes. Because Krishna's pastimes were difficult for me to understand. So, does it mean that I will leave them out? No. But I spend more time on Lord Caitanya's pastimes. So, you may be more interested, whichever, you may be interested in, the Pandavas' pastimes, you may be interested in, Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes, whichever pastimes that attract you, you plug into that, and spend more time in that. But that doesn't mean that we completely ignore the 10th canto. Depending on and gradually I have, I would say for the first 20 years of my devotional life, I didn't hear much Krishna Lila. But by hearing about Lord Caitanya and my interest gradually, my appreciation for Krishna gradually developed. So, yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for such a wonderful and very, I would say, very something which has really made me to understand the other aspects of Krishna as well. Because you are absolutely right, Prabhuji. By reading the other cantos, you actually understand the magnanimity of Krishna, how big he is, how supreme he is. But yes, to understand him, कि बहुत बारीकी से, to know him subtly, he's been acting as a human being, just like all of us. तो वो भाव को समझने के लिए, to read the 10th canto is important.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving me another perspective to understand it. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for patiently hearing and all your good questions. And don't worry if you don't understand it all. We will gradually, Krishna will deepen our understanding. You have to keep hearing, keep probing, keep contemplating. Any questions from your side, Vikramji? Huh? No? Did any of it make sense? Huh? Any questions from Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Yes.
Prabhu, like you said that Krishna's healing of the demons is the secondary reason of his appearance on this earth. But from the story of Jaya Vijaya, we read that he descended on this earth as a Ravan, Karan and three incarnations. So like, because he is already enjoying in Goloka, so why he comes here? Because he wants to taste the rasa of fighting.
Yes.
So that's why he descended here.
Fighting, whatever, he has multiple reasons. Through, I mean, that may be one of the reasons. But so many reasons are there for Krishna's appearance.
Yeah, but he's already enjoying there in the Golok Vrindavan. So why?
So he wants to attract us. Why does he descend to this world? To attract us. If he didn't have Lord Ram, if he didn't have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if he didn't have all these incarnations, would we be attracted? No.
Mukti also to Devadeva. How would he get the mukti if he doesn't follow?
So different people are attracted to different types of personality, you can say aspects of God. So some people are attracted to Lord Ram. They say, we can't deal with Krishna. Lord Ram is easy to deal with. So that's also good. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give the highest, this is the highest level of spiritual love or emotion that can be experienced. Parikya ras. And we will see later that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that understanding. Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Vaikuntha and Goloka is different. No? So why sometimes it's written in Prabhupada's books Vaikuntha or Goloka? So getting
Means it's a spiritual world. So Vaikuntha is also part of the spiritual world and Goloka is also part of the spiritual world. So in that sense he says that, the spiritual world. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hare Hare Bol.